Hi, you're watching WION World is One. I am Isha Hanspal. This is Speed News, and with me is my colleague Rajni. Our first story, first up. Russian President Vladimir Putin has praised Prime Minister Narendra Modi's Make in India policy. Putin said that India has set examples for the world under PM Modi's leadership. He added that PM Modi was doing just the right thing by encouraging Indians to use products made in India. His comments came while replying to a query on Russian manufactured cars. The Russian president was speaking at the 8th Eastern Economic Forum in Russia's port town of Vladivostok. Russian President Vladimir Putin and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un have met at Russia's Vostochny Cosmodrome located in country's eastern Amur region. According to the Russian state media, among other expected deals, Moscow has announced it will help North Korea build satellites. This is Kim's second foreign trip to Russia and his first since the pandemic. Meanwhile, Kim has told Putin that he supports Russia in its sacred battle with the West. According to Japanese and South Korean media reports, North Korea has fired 2 ballistic missiles from its east coast. According to Japan's Coast Guard, one of the missiles fell about 5 minutes after it received a launch warning. Details of the missile's size or range have not been released yet. The launch comes when North Korean leader Kim Jong-un is in Russia attending a summit with President Vladimir Putin, like we just told you. The United States and its allies have expressed concern at recent signs of closer military cooperation between Moscow and Pyongyang. This is Kim Jong-un's second summit with Vladimir Putin. A big win for women in Japan. The country's prime minister has appointed 5 women to the country's cabinet, a feat which has never been achieved before. Minoru Kihara has taken over as the country's new defense minister. Meanwhile, Yoko Kamikawa has been appointed Japan's new foreign minister. 66-year-old Kishida took office in October of 2021, but his poll ratings and standing within the ruling party have slumped since. Republicans in the U.S. House of Representatives are pressing forward with an impeachment inquiry into Democratic President Joe Biden. They are alleging that he profited from his term as vice president, but they have not presented any substantive evidence so far. Speaker Kevin McCarthy has launched the inquiry after some Republicans threatened to oust him as leader if he did not probe Biden. However, Hakeem Jeffries, a top-ranking Democrat in the House, has called the inquiry an illegitimate waste of time. Russia says that its forces hit Ukrainian military personnel and equipment in multiple directions. The Russian Defense Ministry said in a briefing released on September 12th that the Russian army launched attacks on the Ukrainian army. The ministry also said that Russian air defense forces intercepted multiple Ukrainian rockets and destroyed 41 Ukrainian drones. Meanwhile, Ukraine claimed it continued offensive operations in the direction of Melitopol. Nicaragua's President Daniel Ortega has awarded a medal to a Russian colonel for his role in training national police. Colonel Oleg Plokhoy received an honor medal during the ceremony commemorating the 44th anniversary of the national police. Now, according to Ortega, Russian center was mainly installed in Nicaragua to face drug trafficking, organized crime, coup plotters and terrorists. However, they also train the national police and personnel from other Central American nations. China has appointed a new ambassador to Afghanistan. The ambassador presented his credentials to Taliban PM Mullah Hassan Akhund earlier today. With this, China becomes the first country to send an ambassador to Afghanistan following the fall of Kabul in August of 2021. Taiwan's defense ministry has claimed that it spotted 28 Chinese Air Force planes in its air defense zone. The ministry said Chinese warplanes, including J-10 fighters, flew into the southwestern corner of the island's air defense identification zone around 6 a.m. local time. Some of the Chinese aircraft crossed the Bashi Channel to carry out drills with the Chinese aircraft carrier, the Shandong, in the Pacific. The democratically governed Taiwan, which China views as its own territory, has complained in recent years of stepped-up Chinese military activities near the island as Beijing seeks to assert its sovereignty claims. Pakistan court has extended former Prime Minister Imran Khan's jail detention related to charges of leaking state secrets for another 2 weeks. Now, this comes as part of the cipher case that pertains to a diplomatic document which reportedly went missing from Imran's possession. He was earlier convicted on corruption charges and sentenced to 3 years. But as soon as a high court suspended his sentence last month, Khan was placed under judicial custody in the cipher case. His custody was extended till September 13th last week. Two terrorists were shot dead by India's security forces during an encounter in Jammu and Kashmir's Rajouri district. An army personnel named Ravi Kumar of the 63 Rashtriya Rifles was martyred during the encounter and 3 others were injured. Ravi Kumar is a resident of Jammu and Kashmir's Kishtwar. He is survived by his father Subhash Chandra Rana and mother Kirna Devi. A 6-year-old female Labrador of the Army's K-9 unit named Kent was also martyred during the gunfight. The junta in Niger says it will end a military pact with the neighboring Benin. They have accused Benin of authorizing the deployment of troops and war materials on Niger's territory. Now, this comes when Niger fears military intervention by the West African regional bloc. The ECOWAS bloc is trying to negotiate with the leaders of the Niger coup, but it has also said it will use force if diplomatic channels fail. Hundreds of migrants have gathered between 2 US-Mexico border fences near San Diego. They are waiting to be processed by the US Customs and Border Protection. According to the aid workers, migrants have come from West Africa, Central America, and Asia. Aid workers have been providing fruits and cereal bars to children through the fences. As per some migrants, they have been traveling for more than 6 weeks to reach the United States. Dozens of people have been killed in Vietnam's capital, Hanoi, after a huge fire engulfed an apartment block. According to the state media, more than 70 people have been rescued. As for residents, it was difficult to help people because the apartment is so closed and has no escape route. That became the main reason why it was so difficult for the victims to get out. The Panama Canal could further reduce the maximum number of authorized daily vessel transits. This will happen if this year's drought continues. Now, as per Waterways Administration, ships are waiting to pass through the Transoceanic Canal. The canal handles an estimated 5% of the world trade. The restriction began this year to conserve water. More than 32 ships are currently authorized to transit every day. It is down from 36 ships in normal conditions. As of yesterday, 116 vessels are waiting to pass in Panama. The maximum wait time was 14 days, down from 21 days. Five US citizens detained in Iran are expected to be swapped for 5 Iranians imprisoned in the United States next week. However, the United States has said it has the ability to freeze $6 billion in Iranian funds that are being transferred as part of a prisoner swap deal. According to the Treasury Department, the main condition is that this fund will be spent for humanitarian purposes. As per officials, funds are being transferred from South Korean to Qatari accounts. More than a quarter of Derna has been wiped out. Now, Derna is a port city in Libya. This happened when a dam burst after heavy rains lashed Libya. Over 5,000 people are presumed to be dead and more than 10,000 are missing. Libyan Prime Minister Abdul Hamid Dabiba has called for help to recover bodies from the sea after the storm Daniel killed more than 2,000 people. According to the International Federation of Red Cross, the death toll is expected to rise. Indonesia's pollution crisis is worse than it looks. Air pollution is not a new phenomenon in the country, but monitors say that the effects have been worse than usual. Soaring pollution in Jakarta has led to a citizen hooked up to breathing tubes. Indonesian government is slowly recognizing the contribution of industry to the smog over the capital. It recently sanctioned 13 firms for failing to meet the operational standards. Before the ASEAN summit last week, the government also trimmed power generation at the Suralaya coal plant to tackle pollution. Morocco's King Mohammed VI visited a hospital in Marrakesh. He spoke with the injured survivors of the country's deadliest earthquake in 6 decades. The king, who also donated blood at the King Mohammed University Hospital, has thanked Spain, Qatar, the United Kingdom, and the United Arab Emirates for sending aid. The death toll from the 6.8 magnitude earthquake has risen to 2,901, and the number of people injured to more than 5,500. The Republican Party of New Mexico has announced that it is preparing to file a lawsuit against Governor Michelle Grisham and the New Mexico Secretary of Health, Patrick Allen. Now, this comes after the governor issued the order to temporarily suspend the right to carry firearms after 2 children were recently killed in separate shootings. The New Mexico Republican Party chairman, Steve Pierce, accused Grisham of totalitarian behavior and called her order unconstitutional. Pierce also warned the governor of a possible impeachment once the state's legislative session begins. Flash floods triggered by heavy rain in north of Vietnam killed 3 people and left 7 others missing. The local weather service said heavy rains from late Tuesday night led to high water levels in some areas. Meanwhile, local authorities continue searching for those still missing and repairing infrastructures damaged by the floods. Floods have covered the streets of Netherlands and it is forcing water out of manholes. Vehicles can be seen driving through flooded streets and water covering sidewalks. According to the state media, floods have affected several buildings including a school, a hospital and a supermarket. Rain also prompted road closures near Maastricht and Geleen. Scientists head to Hawaii's Kilauea volcano to collect lava samples after it roared back to life. As per the Hawaii Emergency Management Agency, the lava eruption does not pose a threat to communities. According to a US Geological Survey, the eruption was preceded by seismic activity and rapid uplift. Kilauea is one of the world's most active volcanoes. In 2019, a string of earthquakes and major eruptions led to the destructions of hundreds of homes and businesses. Bushfire season of Australia is here. A smoky haze blankets Sydney Harbour. The smoke is produced by hazard reduction burns after firefighters lit it to reduce fuel loads ahead of risky bushfire conditions. The smoke has engulfed the city so much that office workers are able to taste the smoke. Air pollution in parts of the city are comparable to Beijing and New Delhi. Residents have been warned to shut their windows and avoid remaining outside. Peruvian doctors performed an emergency surgery on a 2-year-old child who accidentally swallowed 8 needles. The infant was rushed to a local hospital. The child underwent a 2-hour-long surgery to remove those 8 needles in different parts of his stomach and intestinal tract. The child ingested the needles while playing on the farm. As per doctors, the child is recovering quickly from the surgery.